Good evening. I'm Officer Robert Reeves, the Public Information Officer for the Irving Police Department. I want to welcome everybody this evening to our Shop Talk live event. We're celebrating our 4-year anniversary. It's a little bit different this year. You know, we started the Shop Talk event by kicking it off with a large block party 4 years ago. We were hoping to be able to do a similar type event to celebrate our 4-year anniversary, but unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 restrictions, we are now taking up to the live streaming on Facebook, which has become very common for everybody. So tonight we're going to have a celebratory conversation. We're going to talk about our successes that the Shop Talk program has had over the last 4 years, including being recognized nationally, and we'll go in more detail about that here in a bit. But also we're going to be talking to some of our owners, and this is going to be kind of a virtual way for everybody watching tonight to have a seat in some of our Shop Talk owners' barber chairs and salon chairs and be able to have those conversations like you would if you were there and one of an Irving officers walked into the business and started having a conversation with you. So we're open to everything tonight. No particular topic is off limits, as with any time when we have these conversations. So I want to go around our room this evening and welcome the parties that we have here. From Mitchell's Barbershop, we have Mitchell. From De La Tresse, we have Heather. From 5-Star Cuts, we have Demetrius. From One Nice Cuts, we have Jimmy. And from Smooth Cuts, we have Ray. And then the officers that are joining this evening, we have Chief Spivey, who's been with the police department now for 34 years. We have Officer Wallace, who's been here 28 years. Of course, Officer Plunkett, been here 28 years as well. Officer Black, who has 14 years of service, and Officer Moore, who has 8 years of service, which started their police careers out at other agencies, but got to Irving as soon as they could to start living the good life, as we call it over here. So with that, I will kind of transfer over to Chief Spivey to start us off this evening. You're on mute, sir.
Thanks, Robert. Thanks for making me look good. I appreciate everyone being here tonight. What I want to start with, for those of you joining us who maybe aren't familiar with Shop Talk and how it started and really what it is meant to do, let me provide a little history for everyone. So Shop Talk started in September of 2016, was started by Officer Plunkett. He came to me, I was an assistant chief at the time, and was asking about our relationship as an organization with our Black community and what we were doing to ensure that that relationship was strong. And during that conversation, it became really apparent to me that as well as we thought we were doing, we could do better, and we needed to do better. And so following Officer Plunkett's lead, we started the Shop Talk program. That first event was held at Mitchell's Barbershop in September. We had a cookout, a big celebration. It, was a huge success. And from that one event, the program has continued to grow, thanks in part to the officers you see on the call tonight, but certainly Officer Plunkett and his desire to continue to build relationships with our community members. From bringing on the shop owners then said, why aren't we including our salon owners? The females need to be involved in this as well. So we began reaching out to our salon owners, and happy to have Heather here tonight representing our salons. But this really gives us an opportunity as a department to connect in a way that we wouldn't normally connect. This isn't community meetings where we host a big room and we bring a lot of people in and we talk to the community and they ask us questions and we answer the questions. This is a lot more informal. It's a lot more relational based, and it requires our officers getting a little bit uncomfortable. And I think that hopefully you'll hear that tonight as they talk about their experience of going into the shop for the first time, meeting with an owner who they've never met before, don't know, and talking to those customers and really being challenged about what's going on in the world. But aside from talking about policing issues, which is certainly a big part of what Shop Talk is about, we also just talk about normal stuff, the stuff that the guys and gals talk about in the salon or in the shop. We just have those kinds of conversations. And I want to start that. I want to ask the tough questions to get us going tonight. Now, I'm going to pick on Jimmy a little bit to get us going. Jimmy, the tough question to you is, can the Saints actually win with Drew Brees as their quarterback, or is he now washed up and his arm is trash because he can't throw the deep ball any longer?
Well, as we all know, I think he can. I think he can. Drew Brees always, the guy to be talked about a lot. So I think he's gonna do very good this year. As long as we don't see Minnesota in the playoffs, we should be good. That's the fact of the matter on everything.
I don't think you have to worry about Minnesota getting to the playoffs this year.
That's a good thing then.
Robert, you want to get us going?
Yeah, I will. So, Mitchell, I'm going to go to you first, kind of on this deal, and what are some of the topics or the conversations that your customers are kind of having with you as it relates to law enforcement or police that maybe they're wanting to ask?
We talk about a lot of the current events, different matters, that people have on their mind, just liking to enjoy the police when they come in. We ask different questions and, just have fun. Well,
right. So what's when you think of off the top of your head, if you can think of one, what has been the latest question that maybe has been asked that, let's cut to the thick part of this conversation for tonight, right? Let's not avoid what happened today. So have you had any customers asking you about the Louisville, Kentucky incident with those officers not being charged with any criminal offenses? Has anybody brought that up to you in your shop yet?
Really, I hadn't heard anything about it today. So I don't really have anything to say on it.
All right. Officer Plunkett, what do you think about that one? I'm going to give you the tough question of the night, since that's the one that's leading the headline news. And I know we see on TV that there's some people that are protesting over there in Louisville, Kentucky tonight.
Well, first of all, I don't know a whole lot about it, except from what I read on the internet. And I think that most of us have read a little bit on the internet. We have watched the news talking about it. But the biggest issue is we don't have the facts that the district attorney and the grand jury has. We're not privileged to all of that information, so it's really kind of hard to say a lot about it when we don't have the information. I don't think it's fair to make too many comments about something that we don't have the information on.
True. So for those that are not aware, in Dallas County and Irving and the way things progress over here, the district attorney's office does have a squad of employees that anytime an officer is involved in a shooting in Dallas County, his office sends those individuals out to the scene of that shooting, no matter 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, they're on call. And so they respond to those shootings. So something to always remember is, the police are doing their investigation as well, but on the charges and everything, that the district attorney's office is definitely involved in that, and is the one that a lot of times that may bring some of those charges to be prosecuted against those officers. Demetrius, what are some things that your customers may be talking with you about in your shop?
Well, one of the main questions that's been popping up, because since it's a steady event that's happening, like with the police shootings, the customers are actually basically saying, like, since we know all the cops are not bad, we know we have a lot of good cops, and it's only a few that are bad, why aren't the good ones pretty much singling out the bad ones? Because it affects the whole police force as a unit. Because when you have one bad apple, but you have 10 good ones, that one bad pretty much put the other 10 in jeopardy. So my clients was like, why don't the police like create some type of system or some type of hotline in order for the good cops to pretty much say, well, we're gonna tell on the bad cop.
Right. Chief, you want to address that with how we've done some policy changes directly in reference to that?
Sure, I can address it from a policy perspective, but I'd like to get our officers involved in a conversation, because I think, their responsibility, aside from just what the policies require, we have to create a culture where officers are willing to stand up and say, what you're doing is wrong, and I'm not gonna stand for it. I'm not gonna hide it. I'm gonna expose it to the supervisors, and there's going to be an investigation into that. I think that's really what we try to create, the culture that we create. There's always been this mystery behind the blue wall of silence, or there's a number of names for it. But I think what we've seen throughout our profession is this willingness, to Demetrius's point, of officers not being willing to work beside people who violate others' rights, who are unethical or immoral, or who are violating the law. And we have policies in place that set that expectation, but then also give those officers the ability to point to policy and say, I'm just doing what I'm required to do. And I think that's really important, because it does take a great deal of courage to stand up to a peer and say, what you're doing is wrong and I need to report it. And not everyone is comfortable with that. Not everyone is as comfortable as we would like them to be with that. It's one of the reasons the Irving Police Department applied for and was granted access to the active bystandership for law enforcement training that Georgetown University is putting on. Their law school has started a class, and we did a media release on that just recently to talk about our participation in that, and how we teach our employees to be courageous and to step in to protect the rights of others. We were one of only 25 agencies throughout the United States chosen for that initial class, and something I'm very proud of for our organization, and I think it just takes us to that next level.
Officer Moore, from working the streets there, how can you kind of give a perspective of what Demetrius was talking about?
Yeah, so Demetrius, good point, good question. Just to piggyback off what the chief said, being a new officer, it was difficult. It is a challenging task to see someone doing wrong in a work environment, in a workplace, and have the courage to step up and say, hey, that's not right, to follow the avenues, whether telling a senior officer, a sergeant, a lieutenant, whatever the case may be, being able to step up and do that. And I think, at least in my experience, I can't talk matter of fact, but I can say in my experience, it's been, the more you hear about the incidents that are going on across the country and the way it affects communities, and you think about specifically, George Floyd and incidents even before that, it heightens or emphasizes how important it is to step up and make that decision, to whether it be going to that officer or telling the supervisor, whatever the case may be. It definitely emphasizes how important it is to step up and be courageous. We are courageous in many other areas, and that's, like the chief said, that's something that I'm sure many people can improve on, but I think the current events has made it a lot easier and a lot more, at least upon me, has pressed upon me to step up in that area as well. So.
Demetrius, you got anything else that you hear people talking about there in the shop that you want to kind of hit on?
Yeah, I mean, well, of course, the Jacob Blake situation. I mean, people have different opinions about that, you know, because I mean, it's sort of a sketchy topic, you know what I'm saying? Because not only did he get shot, but he got shot in his back, and as many times that he got shot. So that's always the topic of discussion now. But you know, so everybody's just questioning that situation.
Right. And I know there's been a lot of different versions or so-called facts that have come out about that incident, you know, as it relates to reaching for a knife, having a knife, all of that information. And, you know, that's sometimes it just takes time to get those facts out. So on that one, on that incident, Officer Black, kind of as you see, or when we talk about these incidents, is kind of how do you handle them as an officer seeing another officer doing something across the country and then referencing back? Because you know, I know you were a training officer and you were sometimes would be talking to those young recruit officers. How does that kind of affect your day to day?
You have to take it in consideration all the time that you're under a microscope, and that you have to do the right thing even when your adrenaline is up, and that's hard. You can always use it as a training tool, but again, just like everything else, we don't have all the facts. And if there's a vacuum of facts, they get filled with opinion. And sometimes that doesn't quite add up. You know, depending on where you get your information depends on which side it leans. So as hard as it is, you have to let it go and not interfere with how you work. You know, it's always a consideration when you're using force. Is it justified? How is it going to work? But you can't let it stop you. You can't let it be a deterrent to doing what's right and what needs to be done right then. But it's like anything else. It looks horrible. Force always looks horrible. I'm not Chuck Norris. I'm not going to roundhouse kick the gun out of somebody's hand. It's not pretty, but it's hard to tell people to wait for all the facts to come out, because then they start wondering, well, you see the videos, why can't you get the facts now? And sometimes that's difficult. And it's really difficult for some of the newer guys coming in, seeing this and thinking, oh man, you know, what are we going to do now? So it's tough.
Gotcha. So Heather, I'm going to call on you as our representative of the salons. I know you've been a part of the Shop Talk Here program for a good little while now, and you've kind of have been welcomed into the Irving PD family and have participated in some of our other programs besides just Shop Talk. So can you kind of, one, if you have any topics that anybody's brought up, you know, feel free to address those. But then two, I also want to kind of talk about of how being in Shop Talk, how that's opened the doors for some of the other community outreach programs that people may not be aware of here at the police department.
Yes, exactly. Thank you again, Irving Police Department, for having me. I've really enjoyed my time here in Shop Talk and getting to know everything that's going on in the community as it relates to police awareness and things of that sort. I just like to say that I've appreciated the program Shop Talk. My customers are, of course, majority women, and some of the things that they've experienced may be a little bit different from the standpoint of I've sat there and perhaps kind of chimed in on an experience a customer had with something that they weren't quite sure that something was going on, but it was a crime being committed that was actually confirmed. But to have a safe place where they could mention that to me and I could make a call anonymously for them to see if I could put them in touch with someone that could talk to them where they would be more comfortable. that's something that was so valuable for one of my customers. She's a professional woman that actually resides in the city of Irving, and thought there was something going on and just didn't know where to begin in terms of reaching out and making contact. So she was so excited that I was able to put her in touch with an officer within the police force that was able to talk to her and get the information, and also to calm her down from what she believed what was going on. So that was one of the things. There's been so many different incidents. I've had Officer Wallace actually came in one time. I had a really busy season in the shop, and he was able to come by. And what I normally do when an officer comes by is it's just trying to calm the ladies down. For one, they're a little alarmed because I'm in a unique space suite, and I have to kind of tell them that, okay, well, you know, I'm a part of this program, and I have, you know, an officer here, Officer Wallace is here, and just wanting to know if you have any particular questions that you may have for him, anything you're interested in wanting to know as it relates to anything that's happening in the community, or something personal that you may have, you know, whether it's a ticket or however. And he was able to, you know, come in and talk to some of my ladies and just introduce himself. And I think a couple of ladies did ask him a couple of questions and felt very confident and comfortable that he was there. So, you know, periodically, you know, at least once a week, we do get an officer that comes around, whether it's female officer or a male officer, that you're able to come by and, you know, communicate and just kind of see what's going on. It really sets a comfortable environment for me to work in, but to also know the customer knows that it's comfortable, that and it's safe. So they appreciate that. So that's some of the things that I've experienced and my customers appreciate by being in this program, Shop Talk, which I'm enjoying. And through the affiliation with Shop Talk, I've had the opportunity to participate in a couple of the other programs, which I have just thoroughly enjoyed. The Rape Defense RAD, which stands for Rape, can someone help me a little bit? It's Rape Aggression Defense Course. Yes.
Right.
So I participated in this program, I believe it was the end of it may be the beginning of this year. And it is a program where it teaches women or whomever how to protect themselves in an event of, you know, someone trying to attack them. So it was something that Officer Plunkett, I told him that I had a experience years ago, and I wondered if you had something. I was interested in taking some self-defense course. And that's when he was able to let me know that there was a program, and the Urban Police Department offered, and I'll send you through the channels where you can get signed up. So I got signed up. It was, I think it was a 3-day course, maybe 3-4 hours each time, well worth it. Went in with some theory to get some information about just understanding what offenses are, and, you know, and then we went right over and actually started our technical defense of how to protect ourselves. And I mean, you really, if you ever consider wanting to take a self-defense course, I totally recommend the RAD program that Urban Police Department offers. There is, I think they do it quarterly. I'm not sure. You can, actually call and find out yourself, but it does leave you feeling very empowered and armed with the correct information, the right information, whether it's understanding what the laws are, or just, how to carry your handgun, or, what you need to carry a handgun, and then all the other technical moves. So I just appreciate, being a part of the program, which allows me to also be able to participate in other things that we have throughout the community. I believe there is something else that I'd like to participate in. You all have a ride along, so maybe you can tell me more about the ride along. I'm probably going to get into that. I think that would be awfully fun to do that. Maybe you can tell me more about that.
Yes, ma'am. We do offer a ride along program, although all of that is kind of in a holding pattern with this whole pandemic. So you know, that is something that is it's a front row seat there to whatever's happening that evening, and it could be very slow or it could be very exciting. And you know, we encourage individuals to come out and ride out with us and kind of see what a night with or a daytime, you know, you can do it daytime or nighttime, would be like with an officer. So, hey, Jimmy, I know that sometimes that moment when the officer walks into the store is similar to what Heather's, you know, when people see a police officer kind of walk into the store, they kind of give that look like, what's going on? Is everything okay here? Or are they here on a call? Or so it's I guess you've kind of had those conversations as well, correct?
Yes, sir. I'm not gonna lie. When it first started, I was one of the guys that was skeptical about the cops just coming in the barbershop. Chief can tell you. But after working with them and understanding and, you know, just being transparent with everything, it creates an opportunity for people to talk to the cops and on a neutral ground without being in some type of trouble or, you know, in court or anything, you know. So it creates that atmosphere for you to have those real life conversations and asking, okay, what is the procedure when you're being pulled over? What am I to do correctly, you know, and what are that's lawful and unlawful? And, you know, that's what people like about that, because normally, you know, some people will never get those encounters to be able to speak and hold those conversations without being uptight some type of way, you know. So it's really like, you know, help them ease back a little bit, you know, and feel more comfortable about having that conversation.
Yeah, and I know that's helped, right? Because you've learned quite a bit of coming in here and having those conversations to be able to pass that information on to your customers as well. So 4 years later as we celebrate our 4-year anniversary, do we still have skepticism, or are you sold to it?
Nah, I'm sold on it. It's actually building a bridge between the community and the actual police department itself, you know, and it brings up a lot of different ideas normally that we won't actually have those conversations. And to me, that's a big plus, you know. You never know when something might come along where you're able to save someone's life or help them in a situation to be better. And that's what it's all about. Right.
So I want to introduce Ray with Smooth Cuts. We were having some technical difficulties, so I see we have him with us now. So welcome, Ray. And I'm going to kind of move to you and kind of ask you some of these questions. So one of the questions, you know, I'll call on you, Ray, now that you're in. We'll put you on the hot seat right off the bat. So one of the questions came in from Pat was, you know, they were thankful of the city and that they live in and everything, and they were very thankful of the business owners and y'all's commitment to working with the police department. Have you seen your customers talk about how Irving Police versus maybe the surrounding cities departments and kind of how they feel? You know, do they feel more comfortable in Irving, or kind of can you expand on that if you've had any of those types of questions?
Well, they tend to get to be more comfortable when the officers come through, when they drop by. Just like you were talking about earlier, the little stigma of whenever a police officer around and something's wrong. I think by us, you know, having a relationship, getting to know you guys, when we're able to say, hey, this is Officer John, or this is Chief Spivey, and he's cool. He's here just to, you know, check on us. You know, any questions or concerns we may have, we're able to talk to somebody, you know, straight up and get their point of view, and we're able to share our point of view. And that way, kind of come to I like to provide a neutral place where we can all have a common ground, and we could just try to talk things out.
Right, I hear you. And one, you know, as we're putting this out on our Facebook live stream, we have several different agencies from other police departments that are also watching this and viewing and looking at starting a similar program, if not exactly the Shop Talk program within their police department. You know, we partnered now with One Community, and I'll let Officer Plunkett talk about that here in a little bit. But we've partnered with One Community, and they're helping taking this Shop Talk program all the way across all over the country. So, you know, I know we had one question come in about, you know, they were applauding our efforts, but they were saying, why does it take, you know, all the negative type stuff to occur before we become transparent? And all I can say to that one is we've been doing this for 4 years. So this Shop Talk event did not start after George Floyd. The Shop Talk event did not start after any of their most recent incidences. In fact, it started, and Officer Plunkett, I'm actually going to come to you here next to kind of go on that. It started after the 5 officers that were killed in downtown Dallas. And we realized that, or you realized that, you know, this needed to be a program that started to try to start building that bridge like we've talked about with the African-American community and the police department. So can you kind of go on a little bit about some of, you know, the successes that Shop Talk has had and our new partnership with One Community?
Was that for me, or you still with me?
No, sir, Ray. We're heading to Officer Plunkett.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, we started this here program way before we had majority of the incidents going on, because like Chief Spivey stated earlier, we recognize that we want to be proactive. Irving Police Department believes in community relationships. And that's why we started off going into the shops. We started off at Mitchell's Barber Shop. That was the first shop. And then we started going into all of the other shops, where right now we're going into 22 different shops here in Irving. I met with One Community USA, which is a nonprofit organization, and I spoke with them about we need to move this here program outside of Irving, because we have been so successful here in Irving that we want to take this here across the country. Now, one of the questions that have came up in some of the shop talks is, why haven't you guys been doing this all along? Why haven't you been doing this all along? And I told them, I said, hey, we're moving into the different shops. Right now, with the assistance of One Community USA, Larry, the owner of 504 Barbershop, said, hey, look, I want this here program in my shop in Euless. So we went over and we spoke with Euless. We're now in Euless. We're also in Duncanville. We're also in Grand Prairie and DeSoto. And we're working with Frisco Police Department to move Shop Talk into these programs. Ms. Brinker, the founder of One Community, she has spoken with the St. Louis Police Department, who wants Shop Talk in St. Louis. So we are definitely moving in that direction to spread this here out. And I actually like to offer a challenge, because at one time we did a lip sync contest amongst the police departments. So I like to challenge other police departments in the area and across the country to get involved with Shop Talk and to do something similar to this there, because this is very important, because the customers are asking for us to come into the shop. The barbershop owners are asking for us to come in and just open up that communications and just talk to people. That's all they want. They just want to be able to talk to someone and have that relationship. Since we started the program, we have started having different activities with these different shop owners. Just like Ms. Heather stated that with the RAD program, we started bringing coffee with a cop to some of the programs. We also brought National Night Out. We have a reading program where we take our library, city library, into these here programs. We take books and puppet shows. We take all of this here into these here shops. This is something that we hadn't been doing in the African-American community prior to Shop Talk. Since the start of Shop Talk, we have integrated a lot of the programs that we have in Irving into the African-American communities. And this is benefiting the shop owners, is benefiting the customers. One Community USA, what they have been doing also is providing scholarships. And you would have to Google One Community USA, and it'll tell you about all of the different programs that we have had thanks to One Community USA, especially at Jimmy's shop for the Blue Christmas, where we was able to provide toys and financial support for a family that was in need. The program, since the start 4 years ago, has been recognized numerous times by the NAACP, numerous times. Also, the Department of Justice has recognized the Shop Talk program here in Irving. We have U.S. congressmen that have endorsed this here program. So the program is a solid program that needs to go outside of Irving and continue to grow.
I'll just say one thing. You know, Plunkett mentioned that it's good for the shop, it's good for the owners, it's good for the community, but it's also good for the police because it gives you that tie into the community that you serve, to where it's not just a shop that you might have to take a report at, but those are your guys. They know you, you know them. It gives you more buy-in into the community that you serve.
Yep, kind of brings back that neighborhood officer type of mindset. You get to know your business owners and you get to go in there and communicate with them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, because I spoke with, just yesterday, I spoke with one of our rookie officers. What I didn't mention is the chief has a quarterly luncheon that he hosts here at the Irving Police Department, where we bring in all of our rookie officers. And since the start of the Shop Talk program, we have had at least a minimum of 2 officers that started going to the barbershops getting their haircut. One of the shops is Jimmy's shop, and also Demetrius' shop, where we have officers going into Demetrius' shop now getting their haircut. It's not African-American officers that's going into these shops. So that's a plus right there. One of the rookie officers approached me yesterday and said, hey, look, I started going to 5-star barbershop in the ranch based on this Shop Talk program. He wants to know, how can he get involved in this here program even more than just going in and talking? So he and I are talking. Once he gets cut loose out of training, then he's going to be involved in this here program. Strong.
Very good. So, you know, and some of the other conversations we talk about, you know, trying to not just be going down the pattern of different topics. Chief, I see you got your mute off, so I'm going to call on you. What you got?
Yeah, I was just going to, you know, I think it's important for us to have people realize this isn't always about these heavy topics. There's a lot of, you know, just getting to know one another. Mitchell's been a business owner in the city of Irving for a long time. Mitchell, I know that, you know, we came to you right off the bat with this. Can you talk about your relationship and your business here in Irving and how you've seen Irving change and you know, the things that the shop owners have done outside of just hosting police officers, because y'all created some energy in your own group and started doing some things that I think are important for the community to hear about.
Yeah, I've been here in Irving. I opened up my shop in 1990, and I see a lot of things that's done changed in Irving, especially with the police department. You know, right now, I think this is a wonderful thing that we have going on right now. Whether, you know, if clients have something to say, it is officers coming through the door, they can ask different questions and stuff like that. And I'm really proud of everything that we done over the last 4 years, you know, and I don't have too much more to say.
You know, your relationship didn't start with us though 4 years ago. You've been a part of Irving for a long time, like you said, since 1990, and you know, you've really become a pillar of the community where your shop is.
Yes, I have, and it's been a great journey. You know, I try to get out with the community and barbecue and have fun. You know, I do a lot of things, you know, other than just cutting hair. You know, and I'm all about just helping out. You know, any way I can. One night, Chief, it was a baby come in the store, And so this baby got burnt by the coffee. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do? You know? And so Officer Plunkett came up and I was chasing around the corner and trying to find the parents of this kid. And so I found Officer Plunkett. He had another stop. And so we chased and chased all night, man, until we found the family and got this kid home.
Great story. And, you know, that I think to demonstrate the relationships that get built, you know, you had an incident at your shop a couple of years ago where you had a guy outside with a gun that was running from the police, and, you know, you didn't call 911. you called me.
Yeah.
And I answered the phone. I'm like, hang up with me because I'm not going to be call 911. So I think it just demonstrates the level of commitment and trust that the shop owners get. Jimmy, can you talk a little bit about what you've done with your shop? You know, Officer Reeves talked about Blue Christmas, but can you expand on that and the impact you've had on the community?
My bad, I had to unmute. We actually did a couple of programs. We did a back to school program, Chief. I think you came to all the programs, but we did a back to school program where we was able to provide school supplies for the needy. We did actually the program that Officer Plunkett was talking about is called Read While You Wait. So we was actually being able to be supplied with books for the customers to read, and not only to read, but also to take home if they choose to, and to a place where people could donate books for other kids to read and take home if they choose to bring back, keep, exchange it out, you know, whatever's up to them. And we had a puppet show along with that. That was pretty nice. So they set up the whole back of the shop, and they pulled out some puppets, and we was able to give away free haircuts. And we did this on a busy Saturday too. So, you know, I never actually seen a puppet show actually live. So that was the first time for me to be able to experience some of that stuff and see it. But I think last year, 2019, we did Blue Christmas, where we was able to give, I think it was two or three families, $200 gift card. I think it was a total of $500 total for each family. We gave away toys, bikes, PlayStations, drones, tennis shoes, T-shirts. You know, the list goes on and on. We gave away school supplies during Christmas. Just anything that you could possibly name. We just about had a lot of stuff. And just to be able to do that and to see some of the people, you know, faces light up the way that, you know, we was able to do for them. Us, one community, you know, it was just amazing to be able to do some of the stuff that I did. And, you know, it's one thing to talk about things, but to sit down and talk about it, then to act on it. And, you know, that's what makes it happen. You know, we're not just sitting around shooting the shoot. You know, it's like, okay, how can we be more involved in the community to make it great? You know, and I would love to see this program do go farther and to be able to think. But one thing that this program may need is more funding, you know, and that's what we may need, you know, to actually be able to do more for the community. You know, I'm always here to value my time and whatever it is else that I have. But, you know, money is to, you know, a limit on some things. But, you know, to be able to help our community in the way that it needs to be helped and to educate the people on what we need to do, we need funding to get out there.
That's true. And, you know, definitely for those that are watching, we definitely try to put this stuff out on our social media so that, you know, individuals can see that when we're having these events. You know, I encourage everybody to follow along, show up these events, you know, bring those items that we're trying to collect at that time to provide to somebody that's a little less you know, not as fortunate to have the means that sometimes is needed. You know, these relationships get built and then we try to grow off those, right? So some of how we've assisted is that in the community, but also Ray, can you talk about the tragedy that you kind of went through with your shop, right? Was that a few months back? Hope you're on mute, Ray.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, when COVID first broke out and we got shut down back in March, right after we got shut down, 2 days later, the facility that I worked out burnt down. So not only having to deal with COVID and then managing clientele, so now I didn't have a place of business because it burnt down, but one community reached out to me. Miss Brinker gave me a call. She texted on me, see how I was doing. Then also Mr. Dwayne Thomas, he called me, with one community, with trucks. They had trucks, trailers ready to we actually went into the old burnt down building, and some of the stuff that I could salvage, he actually loaded on his truck and took me to my new location. So, I really appreciate them just jumping in before I could even think about it. Wanting to help out, wanting to help the other business owners out. I think they would even had food packages for us, when we were shut down, just trying to show, that they cared about us and stuff like that, So that helped, in the relationship, build that relationship. And then we're able to share with our clients and let them know what this program is doing, in our lives. And just trying to make a commonplace where when the officers come in, they have their questions, concerns, and whatnot. We're able to just talk about it beforehand, before anything breaks out, before anybody gets detained or whatever. How about we, let's talk. Let's get to know one another.
Exactly. It may have started out as kind of a business relationship with the police department and yourself, but I think we can all kind of agree these have formed into personal relationships with individuals, with Officer Plunkett and all the other officers and the chief, where you feel like you can call that person, and you're not calling that business partner, you're possibly calling that friend when you needed help and everything like that. So, Officer Wallace, I know that I hadn't called on you yet, but if you can kind of talk about how do you break the ice? How do you kind of introduce yourself when you go into that business? Heather talked about when you came and visited hers, and when you've gone and visited some of the others. Can you kind of talk about how you've done that?
Absolutely. So when Officer Plunkett asked me a few years ago, first time to go by the shop, the actual first shop I went by was Ray's when he was up on 635. And I said, I'm a white officer. I'm not going in a black barber shop without an invite or somebody like Officer Plunkett with me. And so I can't remember what it was. It was maybe a Tuesday or Wednesday night after I'd done my shift. And Plunkett said, we'll get some Domino's pizza and we'll go talk for about an hour. And I don't know, Ray, I don't remember your customer's name, but I remember he was from Farmers Branch. And he started talking about getting stopped on traffic all the time in Farmers Branch, and if he was being profiled and this and that. And I can't remember what current event was going on, but we ended up talking, I want to say close to 3 hours, to the point where I was kind of getting the nod from Ray, like, hey, I want to go home, type of thing. So that was the icebreaker for me, and I kept up the agreement with John. I said, you introduce me to more shops, I'll go in and I'll start talking to him. I'm not going in cold turkey. And so he did, and I've been to quite a few of the different shops, and I thoroughly enjoy it. I'm a training officer. I bring when I can, I bring my recruits that I'm training to the shops, and it's really interesting now because you never know what the conversation is going to be. Most every shop has on the TV, ESPN or some kind of show. Mitchell always has some kind of movie on or something. And we may talk about sports. We might talk about NFL. We may not talk about the movies on. We may talk about current events. Sometimes you have customers
that want to talk about the current events and things. And sometimes we just talk about sports or whatever it is. For example, I guess not long after the Wisconsin shooting, I went into Mitchell's shop and was expecting to be hammered, certainly because he had about 4 or 5 customers in there that day about that, and that it never came up. We talked about the sports and whatever. It was some kind of gosh, it was some kind of female movie, Mitchell. I don't remember what exactly it was. But it was one I did not think a male barbershop would be. It was funny. Funny. We talked about that. So I've very much enjoyed my participation, and it's truly, you don't know what you're going to talk about, but I definitely feel that I've made some relationships and made things better.
So Ray, back at you. That first time you met Officer Wallace, were you kind of wondering if he was ever going to leave?
Well, he was kind of quiet at first, you know. He just seemed like that quiet guy, but I could look at him and tell he got a wild side, you know. So he's pretty cool. He's pretty cool. I like him, you know. We just, you know, try to make it a comfortable place. Every time the cops show up, even I do it sometimes still, it's like, hey, what's the problem? What's going on? You know, so I think as they come around more and more and more and the clients get used to seeing them, then it'll just turn out better. It'll turn out better for us.
And I want to say the second or third time I came to Ray's, that customer from the first time was back. And I thought, oh my God, here we go again. And sure enough, we did. But it was much smoother than the first time. And there's some points where he could see the law enforcement point of view, and some points where, like we were talking when we first started tonight, where we don't really have all the information to make you know, an informed opinion of what you know should or should not happen. But the second time with that customer, it did go smoother, and we had some points where we had to agree to disagree. But overall, I thought you know, you could see the I don't know if you call it progress, but maybe the respect or whatever a little bit more.
And that's you bring up a very good point there, Officer Wallace, is, you know, the conversation has to begin. You don't always have to agree with one another, but the conversation you actually at least have to begin, and then you also have to listen when the other person is communicating with you, because everybody grew up differently. Everybody has different experiences throughout their life. So hearing those experiences, hearing someone's viewpoint, you know, listening, maybe providing comments back, as that's how, you know, not only we grow just the police department with the community, but I think that's just kind of what's needed with a little bit of all of us throughout the country right now. Demetrius, I'm going to circle back around to you. Just kind of coming at you, kind of what you feeling? What's the latest that you're feeling like? You know, you think the Stars are going to pull it out here on the Stanley Cup, or you think Dallas is going to bring home a championship this year? What you think?
Oh, well, I'm not a Cowboys fan, so I catch flack with that all the time, since I'm not a Cowboy fan, and everybody in the shop is, and of course majority of the clients are. But Dallas Stars, I'm pulling for them.
Yeah, and it's okay you're not a Cowboys fan. We're still friends with Jimmy, and you know he supports the Saints, so it's just one of those deals, you know. Not everybody can recognize America's team.
Stop being a hater. Pittsburgh is America's team. New England is. So that's up for debate.
Yeah, I got a shirt that says Cowboys are America's team, so that's got to be true.
Anything on the shirt nowadays.
Very true, very true. Heather, what other stuff that can you think of that maybe people have been talking with you about? What's kind of the fun conversations that y'all have in your shop that may be a little bit different than some of the barber shops?
Well, we basically, we're talking about the women empowerment right now in terms of Kamala Harris being elected, not elected, but, well, yeah, pretty much being on a platform right now. So a lot of women empowerment, you know, excited about getting ready to vote. I know yesterday was the first day where I think that they were calling an action for everyone to vote. Did the police department have any anything like for voting for our community here in Irving? Did you guys do any type of voting drive or anything like that to get people out to vote? Or
so we encourage voting. You actually you're kind of a peek behind the curtain. We're actually going to be doing a big push to remind people to fill out their census. Because a lot of federal funding that the police department receives and the city receives to allow us to participate in programs, things that we can apply for, is based off population. Mm-hmm. So we, you know, bring up a great topic there. You got to make sure that you complete your census. For those that haven't yet, just simply go online and complete it. And then voting is very critical as well. You know, there's a lot of different things that are in motion as we approach this election season, and you know, we definitely encourage persons to vote. The voting polls are usually set up by the city of Irving, so and the county. So you know, we will be able to share those locations, but the police department doesn't necessarily set up a location.
Okay, so that leads me into another question. Will you all be monitoring the polls as well as in terms of a police presence on possibly the locations? You know, this is a little delicate season this time of voting, and just wanted to know, since you all are participating in some sort of way, will you also have some police presence just in case?
So Officer Black, I know you've been working in patrol for a little bit and probably was in patrol the last election season. On those calls for service, I know we don't necessarily hang out at the polling locations because that's not allowed.
Oh,
but,
I see. Okay.
Yeah, that's illegal.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
That would be, we would be breaking the law by hanging out at the polling location.
Oh, okay,
But you know, if there's those that are causing debates, you know, Officer Black may be able to answer on some of the calls that, you know, you might have received, or a kind of a general response to that.
Yeah, there's certain rules that you have to follow at a polling station, and if people break those or if there's a disturbance, of course, we want to try to handle that as soon as possible and get it away from there as soon as possible so that it can keep going. The last thing we want to do is have some type of circus in front of a polling station, and then that takes away from what that's actually supposed to be doing. Usually there's not a lot of problems because they follow the rules. You know, you can't pick it so close to it. You can't do certain things. We'll just have to play it by ear and see how it goes.
Yeah, historically, you know, I don't know of many calls for service that we've gotten it here in Irving per se. There may be other problems across the country, but as far as Irving, my familiarity with that is we haven't really had any issues. Chief, do you know of any that we may be missing on that?
No, I don't think so. I think to Officer Black's point, you know, we want to try to get that any kind of disturbance resolved really quickly, because our presence can be a deterrence at a polling place. And the last thing we want to do is make someone feel uncomfortable or feel like that, you know, they can't come exercise their right to vote. So hanging out at the polling places, or if we're there, called there, we want to get away from there as quickly as possible, because we do respect the people's right to vote. And we also recognize we can be seen as bullies and maybe trying to intimidate people not to vote. And that's the last thing we would ever want to do. It's a great question though, Heather. I want to go back to Demetrius if I can. One of the questions in the chat has to do with other Black businesses. Demetrius, you know, a successful business owner and have moved your shop into Irving and really grown your business. You know, what other businesses can the police get involved in to develop these types of relationships?
I guess really any local business, but I think the reason that y'all chose the barbershop more so is because it's more of a hangout. So it makes it a lot easier to sort of communicate and do like a meet and greet versus just a regular business. But I mean, I guess local coffee shops, maybe a good location to probably try to start something like that.
Yeah, I know. That's one of the reasons, you know, we do the coffee with the cop, and of course we do that at different locations. Or anybody that's watching, if their business would like to host a coffee with a cop event, we definitely welcome that. You know, so one of the other questions kind of coming in is how can citizens get involved with Shop Talk? You know, talk it over with wherever you get your haircut. You know, everybody gets their hair cut or styled or whichever. So talk it over when you go and speak to your stylist or your barber and educate them on the Shop Talk program, because we're not opposed to going in to any business. We're always looking at new ideas for trying to create another outreach program to be able to have these types of conversations, to be able to bridge any gaps where we may be lacking, or, you know, that may have been damaged from years in the past from the way things were handled, you know, years ago. So we definitely are trying to reach out to that. So Officer Moore, you know, being from Atlanta, right? Or I know you worked at Atlanta. You may not have originally been from Atlanta. So, you know, Atlanta's a big department. They recently had some issues over there. You know, as you reflect back in your transfer to come over here to the Irving Police Department, kind of as far as working with your community, what have you kind of seen as far as that advantage, disadvantage? What are some topics that you noticed the difference of?
Yeah, so working with the Atlanta Police Department, the first thing that comes to mind is we're talking about the relationship that is being built as a result of Shop Talk and the other community engagements that the Irving Police Department is participating in. And Atlanta Police Department, within that community, also living in Atlanta, there was a lot of hostility between the community and the police department. I know as soon as one of the biggest differences is as soon as I got here, once I got out of the academy and got into in-service, we had a meeting with Officer Plunkett and other members of Shop Talk. And not only that, we were encouraged to be a part of things like Coffee with a Cop and the other National Night Out and the other events that the Irving Police Department participates in. So there was an emphasis on training, but there was also an emphasis on getting out into the community and building that relationship and how important that is. In my previous agency, that wasn't a focal point as much, I'll say. And the interactions with the community showed that for sure. So yeah, just the emphasis of with Irving Police Department and how much they emphasize getting out there and getting involved right away, even once you get out on patrol, was a huge difference in comparing the two.
Yeah, it's something I know that several of our owners, Shop Talk owners and members, got to come in and we did our simulation. Who on here was Mitchell or Jimmy or Ray? Did any of y'all participate in that, where you came and did went through our simulation of kind of like our 20-foot tall video game system that we have that gives you different scenarios, right? Jimmy, can you kind of talk about how by being involved in Shop Talk that kind of opened you to a different options here within the department?
Okay, my experience with that was, they give you a situation where you don't know what's going on. So they may call you out and say, okay, we got a robbery or whatever going on at the shop, at the gas station. So you come there, and as you come there, you have your gun, and you see people running out the store, and basically you don't know who's who. And one of them was I think was the owner to the place. So you got to think about if you're gonna, how would you react to it, So it's basically giving you almost like a real life situation that could happen, anything that could happen, and how would you react to it.
So how'd you do? How'd you react?
I didn't do good at all. No.
Did you shoot?
Yeah, I shot.
Did you miss?
Yeah,
Oh, you got shot too.
Yeah.
Mitch, I see you laughing up there. You participated in it too, right?
I did. You know,
how'd you do in that?
I thought I did pretty good, you know. But it's hard being a cop, you know. I think, man, for you guys, you know, it takes bravery, and it's not enough said, you know, to acknowledge what y'all have to go through. You know, y'all have to think on a split decision, you know, what to do in this situation, you know, and y'all heroes, man.
Well, we definitely appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
That you know, that does give, by y'all being involved in that, you were getting able to see kind of what it's kind of like to be a police officer, right? So,
Right.
you know, we welcome these businesses participating with us. We welcome them because that's an option that we're able to kind of open up when we start building these relationships. Something else that we have is a Citizens Police Academy. So that's an opportunity for citizens to come and go through I believe it's a 12-week police academy every Monday night. We have an English version and we have a Spanish version. Officer Plunkett, I know you go and speak there at the Citizens Police Academy, but I know Pops, which is one of our members here with the Shop Talk program, I know he came through that Citizens Police Academy. How about you kind of talk about that a little bit for everybody that may not be familiar with it, please?
Who's that?
Yeah, the Citizens Police Academy is pretty much designed to take the citizens of Irving and the citizens that work in Irving and live in Irving through their program, so they get to see what we do on a daily basis. They have instructions that come in from the gang unit. They have the SWAT team that will come in. They get to actually drive some of the police cars and see how we drive, but they get taught about the different laws. And one of the things that I push for in the Shop Talk program is to get more people involved in this Citizens Police Academy, because education is powerful. Having that knowledge on the different laws, that way you'll know what to do when you do get stopped by the police, so you'll have some information. It's not information that you're receiving from social media. It's information that you're actually receiving from the police, so they can tell you, hey, when you get stopped by the police, make sure you keep your hands on the steering wheel. They'll teach you all of these here different things so that you can take that information back out into the community, so you can inform your kids, your friends, and families, so that we can have a reduction on some of the problems that's occurring in the community between the police and the citizens there. Because we always teach comply. You know, that will help a lot. If we could just push that out in the community to comply with what's going on, what the officers is saying. And this is something the Citizens Police Academy, they talk about, but comply. And then deal with the situation at a later time. You know, we have an internal affairs division. We have supervisors that you can contact. If you feel like you've been done wrong, then that right there is the place to deal with it. Don't try to deal with it out on the street. At 2 o'clock in the morning, it's very difficult to try to get into a shouting match with the officer there. Just deal with it. Do what you're told to do. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. Don't reach up under the seat. And follow instructions, and you'll come out okay. The majority of the time, you'll come out okay.
That's good information, and we always try to share that information out there. As far as, you know, complaining to internal affairs, we all have a boss, including Chief, right? Chief even has a boss, the city manager. So all of us have to answer to somebody if we do something wrong and mess up. So you're right as far as that avenue, which is our, you know, professional standards unit, our internal affairs division. They're here during the week, Monday through Friday. Everybody, if they have been treated poorly or they feel disrespectful by the police department, then, you know, I encourage you to reach out to them, because the officers on this live feed and several of the other officers throughout the department, we don't want any bad apples within the Irving Police Department. So if we have somebody out there that's misbehaving and damaging or tarnishing the reputation that we're trying to create in our community, then we definitely want to know about that individual, and we definitely want professional standards to be able to look into their actions of how they may be behaving. So I do encourage anybody that they may have issues with to follow through with that. Officer Black, kind of when you go into these stores, kind of what's kind of the conversations that you kind of always start out with when you kind of go walking into some of these different barbershops?
Everything and anything. The main thing is I tried to be approachable, to try to not, I am a bigger fella. And so I try to break the tension and things like that. And usually if I relax and I'm a bit more comfortable, and Mitch really helps me with that, where he greets me in a way that it kind of puts everybody at ease, and then I can sit down and relax, and that kind of gets people going. You know, I've been there before and a guy kind of eyes me a little bit, and then after a few minutes, then he's comfortable to try to start that dialogue. I just try to relax. As tough as it is being in an unfamiliar territory, you know, you kind of feel sometimes like you're invading. But like I said, the owners, Mitch, all the others are really good about that greeting that kind of shows everyone else, hey, it's okay that they're not here to cause any problems. They're here to help.
Right. So kind of a go around the room. I know we've had some comments coming in, and just kind of maybe an opinion. I'll start calling on y'all. We can kind of go around of, what do you think Shop Talk's been the biggest plus for you and with your business or personally? And then any closing comments that you'd like to provide. So Heather, I'll go ahead and put you on the spot first. So
Okay.
I'll let you go ahead and lead us off with that as we head towards the close.
Okay, well, I'm excited because through my participation with Shop Talk in these last years here, it's created really another type of platform for me to be able to have more outreach within the community. And through Shop Talk, I am now getting even more recognition in terms of people calling me for different things to participate in, whether it is, you know, talking about the program that I participated in, or just recognizing my business as a whole. I'm also in contact with one community, Miss Brinker, and she's been a very valuable resource that Shop Talk has partnered with. And also, just recently, I have been in the city of Irving for the last 20, going on 24 years in the same location, which is very close proximity to the Irving Mall. And been very safe there for a very long time. Have never really had any incidents. So, you know, I'm very grateful and thankful for that. But I was recently contacted from the NAACP to be recognized for my business. And that came through the affiliation of the Irving Police Department, as well as being a part of Shop Talk. So when people actually come to these outlets to become informed or to watch things that that we're a part of here in the community, other people are watching, and you just never know who's watching. So that's been really wonderful and great for me, that my business is being recognized, and I can contribute that to being a part of Shop Talk. And I really appreciate Officer Plunkett and the Irving Police Department for allowing me to be able to share my experiences and, help in any way that I can. Anytime you guys call me, if you need anything, I'll definitely be here, because it's a way for me to also give back. I'm also not just in the service of giving back to my clients, but also at large in the community. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Very good. Officer Moore.
Yeah, so I know for me, being in this profession, and I've said it before, but being able to come into this department in particular and enjoy the relationship with the different people. Like I go to Royal Cuts and I actually get my hair cut there on a regular basis, and I am able to interact with the barbers there, Eddie, and just that bridge that has been created. And I can't even take credit for it. Officer Plunkett and the other officers that have participated in this well before I was even involved. It's nice to be in this profession, be an officer, and be able to have those genuine conversations. Officer Black talked about that, the guard, being down and just having a genuine conversation with people. It's nice to be able to let our guards down and just have genuine conversations and interact in a friendly way. So yeah, that's been most beneficial.
Officer Black.
For me, it's a big tie to the community that I serve, and being able to get to know them better, and knowing that we have that support. You start going through some of the social media, you see some of the negative, and then you go there and you realize you are supported and you are valued. And so that rejuvenates you to go out and want to do more. And I love the community that I get to serve.
So Mitchell, kind of coming to you, and I know, I should have kind of brought it up earlier, but as in closing, can you kind of describe the ribbon that's hanging around your neck there? Oh, you're on mute.
This is One Community USA ribbon.
All right.
Blue stands for the police, yellow stands for the citizen. Blue for protecting the citizens.
I like it. And there you go. So I know everybody that's been a part of this program has gotten one of those ribbons. So it's always good to show that support, because One Community is definitely helping us out and taking Shop Talk to a whole nother level. Kind of what's some closing comments that you might have there, Mitchell?
I just appreciate everything you guys done, within the 4 years with this program. And I want to say one thing to Officer Black. I hadn't seen you in about 2 weeks, man. What's going on?
I keep pulling in there, and then I keep getting calls.
Yeah.
They got to leave me alone for 5 minutes so I can come in and talk.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to that.
Officer Wallace, kind of your perspective and everything with Shop Talking this evening.
I just kind of agree with all the other officers, what they said. I enjoy personally getting out and meeting new people, making new friends. I think it's a valuable resource to both the officers and the shop owners, and in addition to their customers, because a lot of times, like I said, at Ray's shop in particular, I saw the one customer twice, but most every other time it's somebody you meet for the first time and the only time. And you might have 5 minutes, you might have 15, 20 minutes just to kind of improve the relationship between law enforcement, police officers, and the community.
Yeah. So Ray, speaking of you, since that's one of the locations that Officer Wallace checks in on, what are some closing thoughts or some things that you've taken away from Shop Talk that you'd like to provide a perspective on? And you're on mute, sir. You're on mute. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
For me, the fact that we're able to go to the training facility, actually see some of the scenarios, actually participate, in them ourselves, allow me to see, from a officer's point of view when they're called to those certain situations, how learn how to respond, how they respond, and sometimes responding the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? It could cause things to go bad. So it just kind of opened up my eyes to the police officers and what they have to do, on a day-to-day basis. It's just an eye-opening. And then as far as the cops coming through, just being able to, really have a genuine conversation, and not all the time either the civilians or the cops having boundaries up or walls up. Just being able to tear some walls down, and communicate. It's a lot of fun, and I enjoy the officers coming by. I actually have clients that actually ask when the next officer is coming through, or when we're going to get together for another event. They actually look forward, to the officers.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So with events, I know Officer Plunkett's always trying to plan something. He's always trying to get something for us all going and everything like that. So Officer Plunkett, we'll pass it on to you to kind of provide some closing comments. And do we have an event in the works?
Well, yes, we may have something going on down at One Nice Cut, but that's pending right there. It may be a drive-through, but we're planning on that right now. We wanted to do something at Ray's shop, but we had to cancel it due to the limitation on gatherings from the governor's office. So the virus has really stripped us as far as doing different activities that we want to do, but we will work on it. We're going to continue to work on it. Matter of fact, about a month ago, we just had a food drive at the surrounding apartments where we was able to give out food with the assistance of one community. But in closing, what I would like to say is I would like to have more officers involved in their shop talk program, because community-oriented policing works. If you get into the community as a police officer and you speak with not just the barbershop owners, the business owners, the apartment complex managers, you get that relationship, they will talk to you and they would say, hey, look, I'm having a problem here in my apartment complex, or I'm having a problem, can you help me out? And you be available for that person, okay? Because we are all public servants and we're supposed to help out the public. So we got to feel comfortable being able to go into different environments, whether it's white, black, Asian, or whatever. We just need to be able to go in and speak with people and be open with them and be honest and just try to help people out. So that's a key for the police officers right there. And I would still like to challenge other police departments. Like I said, we did a lip sync contest. Let's do a shop talk contest. Let's see how many shops that we can get on board. And One Community USA is the one that's facilitating the cities outside of Irving. So reach out to One Community USA, get on board. They can get you started with the shop talk program in your city.
Awesome. Demetrius.
Officer Reeves. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Go
I
ahead.
wanted to say, I wanted to thank Officer Plunkett for Shop Talk, and I want to say happy 4th anniversary, which is very befitting. 2020 has been difficult, but we have really reached a milestone in terms of, participation. And I just want to say thank you. I'm happy to be a part of it. Happy 4th anniversary to Shop Talk. Great job, Officer Plunkett.
Yeah, we can all give a round of applause on that one for sure. For sure. There you go. So Demetrius, kind of some closing comments from yourself there.
Yes. First, I would like to say, I'm really happy about Shop Talk because, like me, probably and a lot of other guys, black guys, when I was growing up, we always had a negative outlook of the police. Every time we see the police, it was always negative. And of course, when Officer Plunkett, when he first approached me, I was like, here we go again. but it turned out to be a real positive thing, and that's what I like. And because one of my goals is to do like a lot of outreach to the youth, because I want to be able to try to encourage the youth, especially the young Black youth, to start encouraging them to be police officers, because it's so many people complain about the bad cops. So if we don't have the youth trying to be cops, how are we going to ever get good cops? So that's
Right.
my goal, and I like to see when the police officers come into the barbershop, and it's like it's a good feeling, because they coming in, they don't want nothing, they just coming in and say, hey, what's up? How y'all doing today? What y'all want to talk about? So that's a good sign, and the kids that come in the shop, they see that. So I say, see, that's what it's all about. So I really like the program, and I like what it's doing, I like where it's going. That's pretty much all I have to say about that.
I agree with you. And I think, Chief, you could probably talk to us about how we're hiring, right? You got some closing comments for us there?
You gonna let me wrap this up now?
Well, we can't leave out, we still got to let Jimmy talk. Since we picked on him a little bit, I was going to let him close it out for us. And I think I've gotten everybody. I think, everybody's kind of given a little bit. And so, yeah.
Jimmy, you better be thinking about what you're going to say. You get the big spotlight at the end. No, I will say we're definitely hiring. It is a challenging time for law enforcement, but to Demetrius's point, if you want to be part of that change, then the way you do that is to change it from within, and you get involved with your local police department. You become part of the solution, and we're always looking for quality applicants who are ready to serve, who have a heart of service, who want to make a difference in their communities. And I think the Shop Talk program is a way to strengthen our recruiting efforts. I want to give a shout out to our OG member, Mitchell, our other shop owners, because, without them, without Heather and Demetrius and Jimmy and Ray, this doesn't happen. It's their willingness to open up their shops, invite us in. It's their willingness to expose us to their customers that has really driven this success. Officer Plunkett had that relationship. He had that ability to reach out and ask for that access to those shops. But they still had to grant that. That wasn't something that we could just come in and take. And so I think that demonstrates their level of commitment to improving the relationship between police and community, their level of commitment to doing what's best for their community. And I appreciate all our owners so much. And, I certainly can't close without saying thanks to Officer Plunkett. This was his idea 4 years ago. He's put a lot of sweat and equity into this himself. He takes a great deal of pride in what he does. Something I failed to mention when we opened up, Shop Talk is nationally known. Officer Plunkett was recognized with the U.S. Attorney General's award on community policing. We went to D.C. last December, and the U.S. Attorney General awarded Officer Plunkett that recognition. He's been recognized by the NAACP. So I'm just really proud of his dedication, his work, the other officers that are involved in the program, both here in Irving and across the country. We're certainly at a pivotal time in our profession, and the roadmap has been laid out by Officer Plunkett on how to develop trust relationships with our community members. And all we have to do is follow that map. And thanks to Officer Plunkett, thanks to the other officers, thanks to you, Robert, for doing such a great job moderating, and to our social media team, our media affairs team, for setting this up tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. And so, Jimmy, on to you, and then I'll go ahead and give a little close after that. So you got the mic.
All right. I'm I'm really like the youngest shop owner amongst everybody here. I've been actually out here in Irving as a shop owner for 11 years. The last 4 years of actually being involved with Shop Talk brought me closer with my fellow owners, Mitch, Dee, Ray, Miss Heather. You know, they all have seen me come to the shops and, you know, just meet with them outside of just Shop Talk itself, you know. So it makes us stronger as a community, just not with the officers, but us as business owners, and makes us more aware of how we can be effective in the community in a good way. You know, a lot of people will say a lot of things, they'll be over opinionated on things, but if you're not acting on nothing, you're just sitting there talking about it, that's not going to get nothing done. You know, and I feel like one of the main purpose of this actual Shop Talk thing is it forces people to be transparent, you know, and it puts you in a situation where you will know if you're dealing with someone that's ungenuine, you know, and it makes them real uncomfortable, and you know it just makes the situation better so you know who's who. I'm just honored, and I look forward to not just where we're at now, to where we're going to be at in the future. You know, this is not a PR stunt like, you know, some people may think, but, you know, we just trying to go ahead and build our community and be one of the leaders in this country of what we look to as greatness. So that's just me.
Well said. Well said for our closing statement. Well said, sir. So, you know, I definitely want to say congratulations to Heather on your NAACP award that you're going to be receiving here. Thank you to all of our barbershop owners, even the ones, you know, we have just a select group tonight just to try to keep a conversation somewhat manageable. But those that aren't even here, you're a very valued part of the Shop Talk program. So we are very grateful for you. Thank you for the officers that tuned in. Those that are watching us on Facebook Live, hey, thanks for celebrating our 4-year anniversary of the Shop Talk program. I do want to remind everybody that, you know, we have a lot of other community programs that are available to our residents and those who work within the city of Irving. You can always check out our website at irvingpd.com or cityofirving/police. We have a lot of things there. You know, National Night Out is coming up here in October. If you are having a party and you haven't got that registered yet, please go ahead and do that this week, all right? Because it'll be coming up. So, you know, we are still trying to, with COVID restrictions and COVID guidelines, trying to have that National Night Out, which is a night where neighborhoods come together to get to know one another. Look at our Irving PAL, which is for a youth program for our young people in the community. And of course, our Citizens Police Academy, Shop Talk, all the other great programs we offer. There are some rad classes coming up as well. So please check out our website for all of that information. Once again, thank you this evening, and thank you everybody for being here. Have a good night.